Every year, QSR Magazine publishes what they call the drive-thru report, which ranks top fast food chains based on average drive-thru times. It ranks Taco Bell as one of the fastest, and Chick-fil-A as one of the slowest. But I wanted to put that report to the test. Other creators have made videos where they go to one location of each restaurant and time the drive-thru, which is fun, but statistically it's fairly insignificant. So in this episode, thanks to a lot of help from people who watch this channel, we're going to 300 fast food drive-thrus across the country to figure out definitively which one is the fastest. This is where I wanna be. Now, I could see someone thinking, okay, if there's already a report about drive-thru speed, why don't you just tell us what that report says instead of going through the trouble of recreating it on your own? And the answer is that I have reasons to believe that their report might not provide the most accurate picture of the current fast food landscape. But we have a lot of drive-thrus to get through, so I'll tell you what those reasons are right after I order at Arby's. Like a handful of people inside. I guess older folks really like Arby's. I don't know. Time starts now. By the way, as I go through these drive-thrus, I'm looking for two times, the wait time and the service time. The wait time starts the moment your vehicle first comes to a stop in the drive-thru, whether that's directly at the ordering kiosk or at the back of the line. And it ends the moment you start giving them your order. That's when the service time begins. Hi, can I get a number one? The service time is how long it takes them to get you your food from the moment you start ordering. You add those two times together and you get your total time in the drive-thru. There's one car in front of me right now. I don't think they had a huge order, so shouldn't take too long. All right, so in that drive-thru report in QSR Magazine, there are a few red flags, at least that I can see. First of all, they leave out some key players in the fast food industry. From what I can tell, they've been using the same 10 brands for the past 24 years, which neglects chains that have grown tremendously during that time. This year, they added Raising Cane's chicken fingers, but left out much larger chains like Popeyes. And second, a portion of their drive-thru data comes from breakfast hours. However, out of the 10 restaurants they chose, 3 of them don't even serve breakfast. So in my opinion, that gives an unfair boost to the restaurants who get to include drive-thru times from breakfast, which is typically much less busy than lunch and dinner, so they're probably going to get a faster average. It's apples and oranges. And third, they don't have any data past 7 p.m., which is wild. Like, you ever been to a Taco Bell drive-thru at 10 p.m.? We're talking 6 cars minimum. For what it's worth, here's their 2024 rankings based on average total time in the drive-thru. So to solve for those problems, we're going to be testing the 10 biggest fast food chains in the US based on system-wide sales in 2023, which ironically is information I pulled from another report published by QSR Magazine. It was right there in front of them the whole time. I didn't include places like Starbucks, which in my opinion aren't part of the fast food genre, or places like Subway, since the majority of locations don't have a drive-thru. The restaurants on this list that were not included in the QSR report are Sonic, Popeyes, and Dairy Queen. And you guys, our sample size might not be quite as big as theirs, but I'm proud to say that without exaggerating, this investigation will cover 300 drive-thru visits across 43 states, which I feel confident is enough data to identify statistically relevant patterns. For this experiment, there were 290 participants, so each of the 10 restaurants had at least 25 data points, and then I'll be covering the final 10 to make it an even 300.
How are you today?
Good, how are you doing?
Good,
all right, appreciate that. Have a good day. I also set up 3 clear windows of time where all participating restaurants would be open: lunch, dinner, and late night. The plan for covering my 10 restaurants was to start at the bottom of the list and work my way up, which is why I started with Arby's. Speaking of which, my total time in the Arby's drive-thru was an impressive 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Off to a great start. Okay, very fast time from Arby's. That has not been my experience at this location. So I've heard that 2 minutes is the gold standard for fast food establishments getting you your food, or at least it used to be at some point. So we'll see how many restaurants are close to that 2-minute mark. So far, so good. How do you think they get the fries to curl like this? Like, how do they cut the potato? Here's how my total time at Arby's compares to the total times of the other 31 people who went to Arby's. Also, as another side note, you'll see the names and pictures of the people who participated displayed at the end of this video. I just wanted to shout them out as a way of saying thank you for helping me with this project. There are statistical outliers in a few of these data sets, so I'll point out the median, which isn't affected by outliers in the same way an average would be. As you can see, my time is well below the median here, which is pretty interesting. That being said, I'll also share the average total times for each data set and keep a running tally of who has the fastest average throughout the video. But the end is where we'll really get into the nitty-gritty with wait time versus service time and whether you can get your favorite fast food faster at certain points during the day. All right, next up is Dairy Queen. I asked each of the participants in this experiment to order at least an entree.
Hi, yes, can I get the number 3 stack burger combo, please?
They were welcome to get more than that, like a combo or food for the whole family, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone was ordering something that had to be prepared. I've seen some videos where creators will order like a cup of water, which I don't think provides an accurate picture of how fast a restaurant is. And this probably goes without saying, but no one used apps to order ahead. Everyone ordered once they got to the drive-thru speaker.
There's a sign up here that says, to serve you faster, only one Blizzard treat is flipped in the drive-thru. You know how they like serve it upside down to prove that it's a good consistency? Apparently if you order more than one Blizzard, they will only do that once. Although at this point, they could have flipped any number of Blizzards. I feel like after the 5-6 minute mark, it really starts to feel like too long, especially when there aren't any other cars. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
My total time at DQ was 7:44, which I thought was a little rough, but it's actually not too far above the median time for the other 28 people who went there.
At least the fries are cold. I'm just kidding, they're like room temperature. It's a pretty good looking burger. It's got an onion ring on it. Can I eat this without getting it on my shirt? Okay, Dairy Queen, that is surprisingly good.
The average total time for DQ puts it in second behind Arby's. So nothing too crazy so far, but I'm still convinced that this experiment will yield different results than the QSR report. All right, next up is KFC.
Could I get the spicy chicken sandwich combo, please?
It occurred to me while I was waiting that KFC might have a strong performance because a lot of their food is cooked in batches and then held under warmers. Like they're not assembling a burger in the same way that other places would. They're just putting chicken that they fried earlier into a box for you. Although I did order a sandwich, which does require assembly, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Appreciate that. Got asked to pull up. I'm the only one in the drive-thru. Sounded like they were waiting on fries. I'm starting to think I might have pulled ahead to the wrong parking spot. This is wild. Normally they're pretty quick. Can you imagine if this was during the fast food gauntlet? That would be devastating. Smells good. Okay, he stopped because he doesn't know which car to bring it to.
There you go, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.
My time at KFC was 8:19, which is the slowest time for me so far.
No napkins. It's okay, I have like 1,000 napkins in my glove box.
Fortunately, that was way slower than the median for the KFC data set, and other people didn't have to wait quite as long as I did. In fact, the average from everyone actually puts it in first place ahead of both Arby's and Dairy Queen. Next, it's time to head to Popeyes.
It's 9:30 p.m. Does not look like there's anybody here, so I'm guessing this will be very quick.
Give me 1 second, please. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry about that. What can I get for you?
No problem. Could I get the number 1 sandwich combo, please? Awesome, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
My time at Popeyes was 4:09, which felt pretty good after the 8 minutes I spent at KFC. That was less than the median for the other Popeyes folks who are usually spending much more time in the drive-thru.
It's a little dry, but I feel like it has better flavor than KFC. Although KFC's sauce is good. I don't know, I don't have the mental space to dive into the chicken sandwich wars right now. I wonder why they took so long before taking my order. There was no one else here. Must have just been busy. I will say this, for a spicy chicken sandwich, not that spicy. Although, to be fair, some of my taste buds might be dead. I've had a lot of spicy food the last couple of years. Okay, this blackened ranch, really good. Decided to treat myself to a chocolate chip biscuit. It's pretty good.
The average at Popeyes sadly puts them in last place among the current lineup. Before the night ended, I made my way to Sonic for one more late night stop. I asked Sonic participants to go through the drive-thru instead of using the car stalls in order to keep things consistent across the board. Although in Sonic's defense, it might be faster to use the car stalls. I'm not sure.
Hi, can I get the number 1 combo, please? I should have taken more time to like look at the menus because I don't get to come to Sonic that often. And I just ordered the number 1. Did not expect this at Sonic. Okay, car in front of me is getting their food. I think they got a foot-long hot dog. That's funny. Thank you. You too.
My total time at Sonic was 9:51, which is definitely above the median, but the median is also pretty high.
But to be fair, they have a sign over here that says fresh every time, so maybe they whipped it up from scratch. Sonic has such good ice. Oh, are they doing smash burgers now? That's pretty good. Tots are just okay. Oh, mints. Do all Sonics do this? That's wild.
The average total time of everyone who went to Sonic was 8:30, which is a new last place on the leaderboard.
Okay, I'm just now pulling up to Burger King, and I think they're about to close. Oh, they turned off. Okay, also I've had way too much fast food today. So I'm just gonna take a quick little snooze and wait for them to open in the morning.
And that'll actually be pretty easy thanks to Manta Sleep, who's the sponsor of this episode. Manta Sleep makes some of the best sleep aids on the planet, and they want to empower people like me and you to sleep better so that we can be less tired and live out our full potential. And they've got sleep masks for everything. There are weighted masks and silk masks, or this one with ultra-thin Bluetooth headphones built in, or their original mask, which starts at just $35. This one that I'm wearing in the car is called the Manta Sleep Pro, and I'm a big fan. All those masks I just listed provide 100% true blackout without putting pressure on your eyes, and the eye cups are infinitely adjustable to fit the unique shape of your face. I would describe myself as being anti-hustle culture, like instead of going so hard that you burn out, I'm a big proponent of getting adequate rest to be able to be in it for the long haul. And Manta Sleep feels the same way, and that's why they started a pro nap movement, which you can join. Just use the link in the description or head to mantasleep.com and see for yourself how they might be able to help you get better sleep. They have some deals going on from Black Friday through Cyber Monday, or you can get 10% off your order anytime if you use code REVUE at checkout. And they have free shipping in the US regardless of order size. That's code REVUE at mantasleep.com for 10% off your order. All right, now that I was well rested and refreshed, it was time to check out Burger King.
Can I sub out the soda for a classic Oreo shake?
Have a great day.
Thank you, too.
I don't know if it was just my local Burger King, but I flew through this drive-thru.
Okay, very quick from Burger King.
Total time of 1:59, so breaking the 2-minute barrier. The median time for Burger King wasn't quite that fast, but the average time is still the fastest one yet at an impressive 4:24, basically a minute and a half ahead of second place.
Don't want to open up a can of worms here, but I feel like Burger King fries are pretty far down on the tier list of fast food french fries. I guess I need to go to France to get the true, authentic experience.
Next up, I'm heading to Wendy's for dinner.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm the 6th car back from the ordering kiosk. What are those called? Okay, I think a car is leaving the drive-thru. That is so funny. I wonder how that affects average times. Like, it's so slow that people are literally leaving, which in turn speeds things up. 8 minutes. I'm still the 3rd car away from the menu board. It's about to be my turn. 11 minutes in.
Thank you for choosing Wendy's. How may I help you tonight?
Hi, could I get a Dave's triple meal, please?
Alright, that'll be $16.90.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, it looks like on the menu that the Dave's triple is $12.19. My man was trying to charge me $4 extra. I'm guessing the service time will be relatively quick. There's no ice in this. Thank you.
My total time at Wendy's was 14:24, which honestly wasn't that surprising to me. But in comparison with the other Wendy's data, I was way over the median. Like I quadrupled it.
And I was not given a straw. Luckily, I can reuse a straw from a previous restaurant in this experiment. Nothing like a room temperature soda. I do really like a Dave's triple. No napkins from Wendy's, which is a wild move because their burgers are messy. That's why you always got to keep a napkin stash.
The average total time for the Wendy's data set was 4:51, which shockingly puts them in second place. I guess my local Wendy's is just a lot slower than most. For my next stop, I'm headed to the always delicious Taco Bell.
Okay, a lot of cars in front of me at Taco Bell. Coming to a stop now. 3, 4, I'm the 5th car ahead of the little kiosk here. Okay, big update. A car just left the drive-thru. I am now the 4th car. That's kind of a game changer, to be honest. That is gonna cut down my wait time significantly. The car in front of me has not moved in a very long time. I wonder if they are waiting to place their order or what. Time update, approaching 9 minutes. Haven't even placed my order yet. I can kind of see why the guy left earlier. Taco Bell, I love you. And I hate to say this, this is not super unusual for my experience at Taco Bell. One time in Massachusetts, I was dining in at a Taco Bell and waited over 30 minutes for my order.
Okay, Taco Bell, do you have a DoorDash?
No, I don't.
You give me 1 second, I'll be just right with you.
Okay. And then a cheesy gordita crunch.
If I can have you wait there for just 1 second, let you know when to go forward.
Okay. Interesting. Why would he have me wait here? Does it affect their times internally?
Sir, you gotta go forward.
Thank you.
My time at Taco Bell was nearly 15 minutes, which is somehow even slower than my Wendy's time. And once again, I was surprised that the median for the Taco Bell data was so low. I think I've just had a lot of personal experiences that involve a lot of waiting.
So my total service time was 4:28, but from their perspective, like if they start timing when I left the kiosk, it would have been much shorter. They did put this in the bag, which is one free taco, and I'm curious if it's because they know that they're slower than people are hoping for. If anybody watching this works at a Taco Bell franchise in the drive-thru and knows whether there's some sort of reporting system where you send your times to corporate, I'd be curious to know how that works, because that's the only thing I can think of as to why they would have me like wait at the kiosk even though there was so much empty space in front of me. It's so good. No, you're kidding. No fork. You gotta keep a stash of fast food, napkins, sauces, cutlery. You never know when you're gonna need it. This is a fork from Chick-fil-A.
The average total time for the data set was just under 5 minutes, which is good for third place overall. The next day, I made my way to Chick-fil-A for lunch.
I'm gonna do the Southwest salad, please.
You're all set?
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Chick-fil-A is kind of an interesting case study because historically they have pretty slow drive-thru times, but they handle way more traffic than most other drive-thrus and are immensely successful. I mean, there's a reason why they're so high up on the list of system-wide sales, second only to McDonald's.
Okay, there's a car and the mobile through right behind me, but they merge right here, and I think I'm gonna sneak in right before them. Honestly, big game changer for how soon I get my food. It used to be 2 lanes where the mobile through could just fly by, but they consolidated into 1 for some reason. I think where Chick-fil-A is at a disadvantage in this particular experiment is that it doesn't factor in mobile orders, mobile through, etc.
Maybe mobile orders or in-store orders can be the subject of a future episode.
The mobile through car just got their food behind me. Okay, here comes mine. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Not bad.
My total time at Chick-fil-A was 4:26, which was pretty solid for me, but unfortunately that was way faster than the median for the rest of the people who went to Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A has pretty good salads, although I think a lot of people assume salads are like inherently healthy when in reality the dressing is like not the healthiest choice you could make. Still good though. I'm gonna save this for the next time Taco Bell doesn't give me one.
The average total time was 7:42, which is slower than everything so far but Sonic. All right, for my final meal of this experiment, I'm heading to McDonald's.
All right, last one. Okay, it's a dual lane drive-through, but everybody's in 1 lane. Could it be frowned upon if I went to the second lane? Could I get the spicy McCrispy, just the sandwich? Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know how the other cars in line feel about it, but using the second drive-through lane was definitely faster. I just don't understand why they were all in the same lane. I think they're preparing a lot of DoorDash orders right now, and I wonder if that's slowing down their drive-through speed. Did not expect McDonald's to have one of the longer service times, but here we are. This must be a farm-to-table chicken where it was like out in the pasture minutes ago. That's probably why it's taking so long. Hi, thank you. No worries.
My time at McDonald's was 11:04, but this seemed like a little bit of an anomaly to me. And sure enough, the median from the McDonald's data set was 3.5 minutes faster.
Oh, pickles are trying to get out. Ah! One was successful.
The average for McDonald's puts them smack dab in the middle of the pack at 6th place. So that's the final ranking for average total time, but if you're willing to stick around, now's when we're really going to start getting into the good stuff. The average total time across all 300 entries of this experiment was 6 minutes and 22 seconds. The median was 5 minutes and 22 seconds. I mentioned earlier that 2 minutes is the gold standard, but only 21 of the 300 entries were in and out in under 2 minutes. That's less than 10% of all the drive-thru visits. Not a single trip to Chick-fil-A or Sonic was completed in under 2 minutes. Everywhere else had at least one. The average wait time across the board was 1 minute and 33 seconds, but the average service time was 4 minutes and 49 seconds. So you're probably going to spend more time waiting for your food than you will waiting to order, but not always. When you break it down by wait time and service time, Burger King and Arby's had the fastest wait times, and Chick-fil-A and Popeyes had the slowest. And Popeyes was in last by a lot. These numbers don't really account for how busy a restaurant is, which I'm guessing hurts Chick-fil-A, but I'll talk about that in a second. When you look at service times, Wendy's was actually the fastest, followed by Taco Bell and then Burger King, and Dairy Queen and Sonic bringing up the rear. And there was a big gap between Dairy Queen and Sonic. Out of the 3 time slots we used, lunch is technically the fastest time to get fast food and dinner is the slowest, but the difference isn't really that significant. When you look at the time slots for each individual restaurant, however, some clear patterns start to emerge. For example, here's the fastest time to visit each of these restaurants. You're going to save about a minute on average if you go to McDonald's, Wendy's, or Dairy Queen late at night. For Dairy Queen, the average late night time was more than 2 minutes faster than the average dinner time. Burger King, Sonic, Popeyes, KFC, and Arby's were all fastest at lunch. The average dinner service time at Arby's is almost double the average lunch time. And then Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell are fastest at dinner. Taco Bell makes sense to me. I feel like more people are going to go to Taco Bell for a late night snack than they are for dinner, but Chick-fil-A being faster at dinner was a surprise. I wonder if maybe that's because it's when they have the most staff working, so it speeds things up. I'm going to share a few superlatives from the data set and then talk a little bit about how this data compares to the report from QSR magazine. So the award for the fastest overall time of all 300 drive-thrus goes to Maggie S., who went to a Wendy's in Ludlow, Massachusetts. She was in and out of the drive-thru in 1 minute and 2 seconds. Incredible. The award for the slowest overall time goes to TJ and Melissa McCallie, who went to a McDonald's in Rafine, Virginia. Their total time was 29:51, so just shy of the half-hour mark. They also had the slowest wait time since they waited over 19 minutes just to place their order. The runner-up for the longest overall time goes to the James family from Vail, Arizona, who waited 27 minutes at Popeyes, and apparently after that they found out their order was wrong, so they had to wait another 10 minutes before they were given the right food. So maybe technically 37 minutes? Either way, that is a long time. The award for the slowest service time goes to Kyra and Louie in Delray Beach, Florida. They were able to place their order at KFC after just 29 seconds, but then had to wait another 26 minutes to get their food because apparently they didn't have any tenders ready. That was pretty different from the experience of Jack and Sam, who went to a Popeyes in Atlanta. They said that a fight broke out inside the Popeyes while they were waiting for their food, but somehow they were still able to get through the drive-thru in under 7 minutes. I also just want to mention that Robert and Margaret went to an Arby's in Newport News, Virginia that was out of roast beef. That's like their whole thing. And Thomas, who you may remember from the fast food gauntlet, went back to KFC to redeem the unfortunate experience he had last time. Early on in the video, I mentioned outliers, and as you might have guessed from some of these slower times, you can identify a handful of outliers using the interquartile range method. To account for this, you can either use the median, or you can recalculate the average times without those outliers. But interestingly enough, even when you remove the outliers and recalculate the averages, Burger King and Wendy's are still the top 2, and Chick-fil-A and Sonic are still the bottom 2, which I feel like is pretty convincing. And finally, when it comes to how these results stack up against the results from the QSR report, we got very different rankings. As a refresher, here are their top 5, and then here are our top 5. You can see that Taco Bell, KFC, Arby's trio, except it's just lower down. And that's because Burger King blew all 3 of them out of the water. I don't really have an explanation as to why Burger King would have performed so much better in our experiment, but I feel like they're not getting the credit they deserve in the QSR report. I do have some theories about the other changes though. Wendy's performed much better in our experiment, and I suspect that's because their time in the QSR report was dragged down by breakfast data. Because just anecdotally, I feel like it takes forever for Wendy's to serve breakfast. And their average time probably suffered even more in the QSR report because they didn't get to include late night times, which, as we discovered in our experiment, is their fastest time of day by a long shot. On that note, it seems like my suspicions about Taco Bell were correct. The average total time at Taco Bell from the QSR report was 4 minutes and 15 seconds, which would have been good for first place in our experiment, but I think it's likely that they got a boost from including fast breakfast times and excluding slower late night times. As much as I love Taco Bell, I think in reality they're a little slower than they got credit for in the QSR report. So it makes total sense to me that their average time was 4:58 in our experiment. Also, just a heads up that if you haven't heard, a ton of franchised Taco Bell locations are doing away with breakfast, which is a tragedy. Breakfast Crunchwrap is the best thing to ever happen to fast food breakfast. And finally, we didn't include Dunkin', so if you take that out, Wendy's would slide up and their new number 5 would be Hardee's/Carl's Jr., which we also didn't include. So if you take that out, the next one would be Burger King. And from there, we have the same top 5, just in a different order. So I think it's safe to say that no matter who you ask, this represents the upper echelon of fast food drive-through speed. Real quick, I just want to acknowledge the limited scope of my experiment, and part of that is because I can't address every single variable. I know I was bashing on their methodology earlier, but a couple ways that the QSR report is more helpful is that they asked respondents to record the accuracy of their order, and that's so that they could give restaurants data on on how much time and money it's costing them when employees make mistakes. And then also the number of cars in front of you. I didn't ask respondents for information on either of those topics, but the QSR report used the number of cars to calculate the amount of time per car. Basically the total time divided by the number of cars in line at that time. That's an area where Chick-fil-A really excels, so you wait longer in total, but on average they're getting through more cars every hour than their competitors. Although I have to say that personally, and this might be selfish, I'm not that concerned with that number because from the consumer side, what matters to me is how quickly I can get in, get my food, and get out. Honestly, a lot of that information is probably more helpful for companies who are trying to figure out what the bottom line is or see how they're doing in relation to their competitors. But a lot of your experience will probably come down to your local restaurant. And I know waiting in the drive-thru for a long time can be frustrating, but just a friendly reminder that 9 times out of 10, problems like being out of supplies or being understaffed are probably outside of the control of the employee that you're speaking to. And then obviously you have to give the QSR report credit for having a larger sample size. I was really tied to the number 300, so when I was combing through the data, I found a duplicate submission, which meant the true number fell to 299. So to fix that, I immediately went out and went through another drive-thru at that restaurant. And hilariously, that happened like 3 separate times, so I ended up eating a lot more fast food than I bargained for. And finally, if you want to look through the data for yourself, you can find my document linked in the description. For those of you who came for the fast food, I apologize that this is accidentally becoming like a data analytics channel. I think what I like about these videos is that I get to take the most unserious things and take them very seriously. And before you go, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Feeding America is able to provide 10 meals for every $1 donated. So I'm donating 3,000 meals in honor of the 300 participants in this video. And I'm also donating 32 trees through One Tree Planted for the 32 hours that were spent in drive-thrus for this experiment. I'm super grateful to everyone who submitted data, so thank you for making this video possible. I hope you had fun being a part of it. If you've stuck around this long, don't forget about that Man to Sleep link down below, and there's a link to my brand new Studio Review merch drop. I'm really excited about this one. You can check out everything that's available by following the link in the description. Thanks for being here, and just remember that even when it doesn't feel like it, it's gonna be okay. I'll see you soon.
This is where